Welcome everyone to Tech It Out. For today's session, we will be reviewing Envision's 2024 Site Tech Global Session, followed by a live Q&A with Karthik Kannan, co-founder and CTO. Envision.
Unveiling Ally, the AI-powered leap from apps to assistants. Speakers, Karthik Mahadevan, CEO of Envision, Karthik Kannan, CTO of Envision. Moderator, Joe Devon, founder of Ally Audits and chair of GAD.
Thank you, Ross and Corey, for that introduction, and also to SiteTech Global for producing this session with the Vista Center. My name is Joe Devon. I am moderating this fireside chat. I am the chair of the GAD Foundation, co-founder of Global Accessibility Awareness Day, and I just started a company recently called Ally Audits. I'm really excited to revisit with the Envision team about their product. So first, let me introduce Karthik Mahadevan. Please describe what your role is at Envision and a little bit about your background, Karthik.
Yes, hi, Jyot. Appreciate that a lot. Thank you so much. I'm Karthik. I'm the co-founder and a CEO at Envision. Started Envision about like 6 years ago with a simple aim to increase independence for people who are blind or have a low vision through a smartphone app. Over the years, it has evolved into several things, including a smart glasses-based solution. And today we are super excited to talk about what's next. And at Envision, I am mainly focused on the design and the strategy aspect of things, just making sure that we're always keeping our eye towards the future and just building the best accessibility tools that we can out there.
Awesome. Thanks, Karthik. And now Karthik Kannan, who's the CTO of Envision. I'd like to invite you to say a few words about your background and involvement here.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me on this panel today. And, my name is Karthik Kannan, and I'm one of the founders and the CTO of Envision. My work is the most fun job in the world. I get to play with the coolest of technologies, especially artificial intelligence, smart glasses, AR, XR, name it, and figure out ways where we can take the advances in all these areas and effectively help the 380 million blind and low vision people across the world today. And that's what my role is in a nutshell. So just constantly sniff around for what's the cutting edge and just think about ways where we can apply that technology to help people and improve accessibility.
Great, and I'm really excited for our conversation. I love to geek out about the AI models and go into a lot of tech detail, but because not all of the audience wants that, we'll do a little bit of it, but bear with us. We won't go too deep. But I think there's some interesting things to learn from it. So just to set the table. So it's been about a year since we last did this. And while I'd love to jump in and talk about your new product, I do think that a little bit of background would be helpful in terms of, how you got to the point where you felt like you needed a new product, what the history of it was. And so I'd like to invite you first, KM, to share your thoughts on it. But let's make this a conversation. So, hey, Kay, if you want to come in with some thoughts as well, please feel free. We don't need to do question, answer each time.
Yeah, sure, of course. So I think it'd be good to sort of give the historical context to begin with. When we started Envision back in 2018, we sort of started with figuring out that hey, we live in a visual world. A lot of the information around us happens to be a visual information, and they're not always accessible. And we started an exploration to see if the technologies of the day can actually help to translate these visual information into accessible pieces of your content, right? And we started with a image recognition. This is AI of 2018, which is archaic by the standards of AI that we have today. But we started with very simple stuff, right? We started with very simple object recognition with very simple OCR. And that's basically what the way we started building our application. And ever since then, it has been sort of an incremental evolution of our technology where we kept on increasing the different kinds of visual information that your Envision could recognize, and the level of depth and accuracy with which it could recognize it, right? So it could recognize simple something like text to begin with, but it evolved into recognizing headings and tables and graphs and stuff like that over a period of time. The same with objects. In the beginning, it'll simply say this is a cup, this is a chair, but over the evolution, it sort of became more detailed, faster, and more accurate. And as this evolved both across the app and the glasses, as soon as we sort of had the onset of the LLM with GPT-3, we started to see a big, almost like a pivotal change in the way these AI models operate and they function. And what we understood very quickly is that the era of discrete AI models is going to eventually go away, where you don't need a model that only recognizes text and a model that only recognizes objects and so on and so forth. So we started understanding how can we just build a very simple way for people to just get answers to their questions without them having to think which model to use, which kind of object recognize. So that sort of is where we started with basically you're building something simple in the early days, and then just like following along the technological your evolution from that point on, but also understanding the needs of the user base that we have on the app and the glasses, which is over 500,000 at the moment. So that's basically what led to us starting to think differently about how we build our tools. And KK has a lot of experience on that from a technology standpoint. He's been the one who was very early on the whole GPT wagon. So maybe he can express what he saw from his technology lens.
Thank you, KM. And before you do, KK, I would like you to define OCR, since KM mentioned it, for those that may not know what it means. And also, from what I understood from KM, you're basically sort of a front end to different models. So there's something called multimodal models where you can have vision, you can have hearing, text. So you're sort of a front end. So can you speak to that, and as well as what AI improvements have happened? Like, what are the stages where, okay, here is something new that we can leverage from a foundation model in our product that was not possible 6 months ago, 1 year ago, 2 years ago? Like, what is the evolution of that?
Sure. I think, to answer your question overall, so firstly, optical character recognition, or OCR, is just very basically a computer being able to recognize text as accurately as a human, or sometimes even better, right? So when you see, when you take a picture, for example, today with Apple devices, it's kind of very straightforward. You take a picture and then you're able to select the text on the image and then copy it from an image. That's OCR at work, right? And it's been a field that has been, evolving for over 30, 35 years now. And broadly speaking, I think, in the very early days of computing, we had a very text-based interface, right? Where you would have to type in very complex cryptic commands and speak to the computer in a language that it understands. And, over the years, we've been trying to bridge that gap where we're trying to get computers to speak our language and, work exactly the way, or speak like we do and understand what we say. And in between, we had this whole graphical user interface where people could drag, a mouse and or use a keyboard and then interact with the computer. And now with these language models, we now have a way of interacting with them where finally computers can actually speak our language instead of us learning how to, use them by speaking their language anymore, right? And this is sort of the where we are at is in this particular stage. And for our users who might be on the elderly side, who might not be that tech savvy, this is the biggest thing that's ever happened to them in accessibility space. That all of a sudden you could be an 80-year-old grandma who's never used an iPhone before, but you can get more out of a computer than a power user could, 2 or 3 years ago, right? That is what Envision is trying to do with Ally. Is we're basically having all these really powerful, complex AI tools, but instead of you sitting and figuring it out, oh, I have to swipe forwards, I need to tap this button, I need to remember to speak this command, all of a sudden you could just ask a question and get a response, and we decide under the hood that these are the things that we could probably do. And 6 months ago, I think, we started seeing, I think November of 2023 was when we first got access to GPT-4 Vision, right? We have been playing, with models a little bit earlier on that front, but just models being able to understand images and interpret them with increasing accuracy has been one of the biggest game-changing, things that have happened to us in this space, right? And it's actually enabled us to build something like Ally over time. Another thing that I notice also happening in this space is that these models are able to now interact with the outside world. So it's no more, a talking parrot where you could just type something and it just gives you a response. It can actually take action on your behalf reliably and in a safe way. And what insiders call function calling or tool use, that has again improved dramatically over the last 6 months, where today there are some kinks to iron out for sure, but we can still go ahead and reliably call these very complex AI models and know which ones to route them, or which query to route to which model easily than what we could have done 6 months before. And again, that is that spectrum of change is basically what Ally is capitalizing on. So these are some of the advances: just being able to understand images better, being able to understand which tool to use based on the query that a user asks. And of course, as time goes on, we have more modalities like audio and all of those things also being included, and that's what's making this possible right now.
And so in order to route to the correct model or to the best model, did you fine tune or train your own model to be that router in the middle?
Yeah. So what we did was we built this on a base of open source models, right? And and for this we did that for several reasons. One, because we wanted to have better control over the privacy aspect of it, right? And wanted to have better control over what queries need to be routed into what models. So we ended up fine tuning, for example, a vision model that understands different types of visual content, and can, for example, if you go ahead and scan, show, Ally a picture of a document, it's able to understand that you are indeed talking about the document. It is a document that you're holding. And so that kind of intelligence layer is what we built on top of existing open source models.
Right. So KM, how has the reaction been by the audience, and how did, in terms of the product that you've built up until the new one, just please describe like what their reaction has been, what have they felt that they wanted, and why did you decide to create a new product?
Yeah. So the reaction has been very, very, I would say, surprising, and in the most, I would say, like pleasant way. So the insight that we were working off of is when we sort of had all these users using the Envision app and the glasses, is that every time people opened our app or opened like the glasses, they were always trying to look for a particular thing, right? They had a question and they just needed an answer to a question, right? And what these apps were making them do was, actually are making them do, tasks. So to give an example, if you hold up a menu, I already know that I want to know how much is the cappuccino, right? That's the question that I have. But in previous application that we had, you have to open up your app, scan text, take a picture of it, then read through the whole thing until you get to cappuccino, and then you know how much is a cappuccino. But with the new approach, we can be like, hey, let us start with the question. Let a user open up the app, and the first thing they ask is the question. And after that, we will take all like the heavy lifting to the back end, where we will understand the intent behind the question. So if he says how much is the cappuccino, then we know he's attempting to like read a menu that he or she is holding in the hand. Then we will do a cropping of the menu. We will do an OCR on it. We will look for the price of the cappuccino within the OCR document with an LLM, and then just speak out the answer to a user. So that sort of decreases the time to answer, the number of actions to answers by a lot. And that was the primary insight that we were working on, is that every a user is just looking to ask a question. And if we can give them the answer to the question in the fastest way possible, and if that's what we optimize for, then we can build a great tool. And having a conversation as a layer for that, and having this your router which understands intent very, very well and is able to route like the prompt or the question to the right AI tool, is the biggest stuff that we put a lot of our effort and energy into. So that was the thing that we were expecting people to be very excited about, and that's exactly the reaction that we got when we actually had the first round of your beta testers. Was the speed of access to information was significantly improved, where now as soon as they had a need for information, within a fraction of a second, they actually had the answer to what they were looking for, right? Like we had like a user who spoke to us, who is in a data entry job, where his job was to look for a particular like a data point in a document, and he needs to enter it into his computer. And earlier he had to sort of do the whole take a picture, do the scan text, and then look for that information, which used to take him 15 to 20 minutes. And now with this Ally, he can do that in 15 seconds. Like he just holds up the document and just asks the Ally to look for the data. And that's basically how much of efficiency improvement we have had at a job like this. So the whole conversation aspect has been incredible. But the other aspect of Ally that we also put significant effort into has been the most surprising one for me. That is the personalization aspect. So Ally is not just a conversational assistant, it's also a personal assistant. And it is a personal assistant in like two ways. You can offer Ally information about like yourself, about stuff that you do, your stuff you like, stuff you don't like. And Ally will use all of that information about you as a context to answer any kind of a question about you, right? So just to go back to the example with the menu, if you hold up a menu, you can also ask Ally for a recommendation. And because it understands what kind of a dietary preferences you have, what kind of allergies you have, it can actually offer you a recommendation in a menu like that. So that personalization aspect is something that we have seen a great reception of. But the other aspect of a personal assistant was also that you can offer your Ally a personality. So you can ask Ally to speak to you the way that you actually wanted to speak to you. So you can either ask it to be straight to the point, just be a professional, or you can ask it to be more of like joyful and like funny. So you can sort of define exactly how you want Ally to speak the answers out to you. And that's the aspect that, to be very honest, when we were introducing it, we thought it's more of a gimmick kind of a thing. But we have seen some incredible adaptation, that feature has had, where now that's become a feature that people sort of keep on going back to. There are people who have built a character stories of their allies. So that's the like the feature that's becoming very, very sticky with all the users that we have.
Very cool. Before the panel, I actually was playing with it, and I named my assistant Carl and asked it to like look around and answer a bunch of questions. It was very cool. So I think KK, is this something that you can demo to some degree right now?
Sure, I can actually go ahead and show people, Ally in action. And my favorite way to experience Ally is on the glasses, because it completely hands-free. You could go ahead and hold things, and you could move it around. And since it's almost real time, it gives you feedback if it needs to take a better picture, and if the lighting is off, and so on. So it's responsive that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wear my glasses, and I'm going to go ahead and I've connected the glasses to a speaker, so the audience can hear the output. I'm going to go ahead and bring up my ally.
Hey, it's a pleasure to meet you. How may I be of assistance today?
All right, ally. So could you take a look at my windowsill and tell me what plants do you see?
Let me take a look. The plant on the left appears to be a variety with reddish leaves, possibly a type of rubber plant or a similar species. The one on the right with thicker leaves looks like a jade plant, which is a type of succulent. Would you
Wait,
like guidance on their care?
amongst the two of them, which one do you think is the healthier looking plant?
Let me take a look. Estimating plant health from a photo can be tricky. Both plants appear to be in decent condition. Look for factors like leaf color, firmness, and absence of spots or wilting to determine health.
I'd like to let you know
Regular
that I
checks for
actually
the-
watered both of them, so I'm their plant daddy. Yeah. All right, I have a bottle here with me. Could you tell me how many calories, is this drink total in total?
Let me take a look. I can't see the exact nutritional information. You might be able to find the calories on the bottle label or the manufacturer's website.
Hold on, I'm gonna go ahead and bring this in focus. Or could you just read this out to me?
Let me take a look. I'm sorry, I can't read the text on the bottle. You might try checking the label for the nutritional information.
Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and have it describe the room in general as well. So Ally, could you go ahead and quickly give me a description of what you see in front of you?
Let me take a look. The room appears to be a dining area connected to a kitchen. There's a wooden table with various items on it, such as a laptop, mugs, and a water bottle. On the windowsill, there are several plants. The kitchen in the background has a sink and some kitchenware. The room has a cozy and lived-in feel.
And I'm actually showing you live off at this event called SciTech Global. Do you want to say hi to everyone who's watching it right now?
A pleasure and good day to all at SciTech Global. I trust the event is enlightening and inspiring for everyone involved. Do enjoy your time.
All right, bye.
Farewell and take care. Don't hesitate to reach out.
All right.
So for those that aren't technical, I mean, I think it's like magic watching this, especially if you can't see and you need to have a device that you can speak to that you don't need to worry about asking someone to describe the room to you. So it's kind of like magic, but if you're not technical, you may not know just what it takes to get something like this to work. And I think the real toughest part of all of this, beyond the pictures, like the visual, is the conversation, because it's listening to you, it's analyzing, it's like multimodal, but you interrupt it and it sort of figures it out and then understands that interruption and then keeps going. I think that's an amazing achievement. Obviously, it's going to get better and better over time. Is that something you were able to push out to the foundation models, or did you have to do a lot of work on your end to make that work?
Yeah, we had to do quite a bit of work in grounding a lot of the responses in facts, right? Which is why, for example, Ally will not speculate about what text is there in front of you. If it's not able to read it properly, or it will not speculate about certain things that it cannot 100% know. So just being able to ground a lot of this information in facts and work on the factfulness, that was something we put a lot of effort into. We used both open source models. Some of these ideas we used are just as research papers, and we've taken those research papers and actually implemented them. And some of them are, we're using proprietary models. So it's a mix of a whole bunch of things in order to make it as grounded as possible, so that people who are using it can, trust it over time. And if it's not sure about something, it's not going to shy away from saying, hey, I don't know what this is, right? Maybe you need to get cited assistants to help you with it, versus just giving you information that it assumes is right about the world. I think that is where we put a lot of effort into. And also we put a lot of effort into ensuring that we know we know how the data travels through this whole stack. Again, because people who are blind and low vision trust us with this information, trust us with what they want what they want Ally to see. So we have this additional responsibility of ensuring that we know how data travels through this pipeline and we can account for it. And those are the two key areas that we spend the most amount of time, apart from, of course, putting in all the bells and whistles that you see Ally using today.
Well, just great job. Really fantastic. And KM, did I hear right? Did you say 500,000 users?
Yeah, that's on the Envision app and the glasses. We have about 500,000 users. The Ally app has been on a beta for a couple of months. We have about 2,000 users just on the on the private beta so far. So yeah, we are
2001
super
as of
excited.
today.
Yes. So we're super excited to open it up, for everyone to start playing around with. And I think the interesting aspect of Ally is that when we are you're going live, it's actually going live on several platforms at once, right? Like it's available on your iOS, on your Android phone, on the glasses, and on the web. So you can have the consistent experience of using Ally across all of these different platforms. And our aim and idea would be to put it on as many different your platforms and devices as possible, so it can be accessible across the stack, right? So this can unlock amazing possibilities where you can start a conversation you're on the glasses, so you can take a picture of a document on the glasses, but then when you go to work and and you sit behind a laptop, you will be able to access the contents of those documents on the web when you're when you're at work. So that kind of having across a device and across your platform access is also a unique thing, and that's something that we are putting into Ally as much as possible from like from day one.
Yeah, which is fantastic and definitely not an easy thing to do. It definitely takes some investment. And where do you see things going? I'll stick with you, Cam, like on the business side of it. In terms of markets, like where are your users now? Where do you see your users coming in the future? And also, how does AI impact the entire accessibility industry? Is assistive technology looking completely different in a year, 5 years from now? Are all the big problems solved or not?
Yeah. So I think with Ally, there are a lot of very exciting opportunities that we're exploring simultaneously. I think, I think simply from, like the customer's standpoint as itself, we're seeing a lot of excitement, from our audience who are blind or have a low vision, but also people who are not, right? Like, I've been using Ally so much for, like everyday tasks just for myself. And we're seeing a lot of adoption and excitement amongst the elderly, right? The people who are not as tech savvy, who are you're kept away from all these technological advances so far. We believe that just offering them a very simple conversational interface to begin with, and they can just speak to it any way that they want to. That's unlocking a whole new segment for us. But we're also seeing some very exciting pathways on the business end of this, where we were at the NIB, a conference, like a few weeks ago, and we were talking to a lot of these NIB agencies there. And what we are doing with them is we are trying to start a pilot where you can actually hook up your Ally to a lot of the internal your databases that are at these agencies. You hook it up to a knowledge base, you can hook it up to an inventory your system, and then an employee there can simply speak to their Ally and ask for how much inventory of your something is there, or what is the process to do something at the company. And all of this is just available through a very easy to use conversational interface where you don't really have to struggle through a bunch of inaccessible and cover some steps in between. So this whole Ally for Enterprise is something that's very, very exciting, where I think folks like these NIB agencies will probably be the first ones to come in. But we do believe that this can expand to a lot more your opportunities. So any like company, employer, or a service that wants to make their service a lot more accessible. They can simply hook up their internal existing knowledge bases to Ally, and all of a sudden they have this very easy to interact interface that all of the blind or low vision employees or like users of theirs can actually immediately have access to.
Very, very cool. Now I'm going to go toward a little bit of a techie question for you, KK. Are you using AI to build AI products? Are you using one of those AI coding assistants like GitHub Copilot or Cursor? If so, can you describe the experience for those who haven't done it, and which models you tend to prefer, and for what purpose?
Yeah, I think if you're we both follow each other on Twitter, and you know how much I am a huge fan of Claude 3.5 Sonnet and the Cursor ecosystem. So yes, I do use these coding LLMs quite heavily. Like I use AI to actually write Ally. In fact, I would say around 20 or 30% of Ally is actually today written by written by AI itself, and I'm hoping that we can up that number to maybe more than 50% in the coming year, right? And if anyone who's interested in starting off with this, I think I would say it's a great boon for people who are already fairly experienced programmers, because these models still tend to make a lot of mistakes, right? And they don't get the full context of what you're doing. It's like trying to these models are really good at writing letters, and then we want them to write novels. They know the alphabet well, but then in order to write an actual story, you need to have a context of the characters and so much going on. And a code base is a story, essentially, and it's telling a story in some way. So you need to have models that understand context, and that's happening over time. Still, with what we have today, I'm a huge fan of Claude 3.5 Sonnet, which is and they just launched a new version last week, which improves on what is possible today. And Cursor is an what they call an integrated development environment, where it's like a text editor, but then you can actually write code in it, for those of you all who don't know. And both these put together are a great combination. In fact, everybody at Envision who writes code actually heavily uses these two tools, and I can't recommend them enough. I'm a huge fan. Yeah.
Yeah, as am I. The only annoying thing is it doesn't remember the architecture that you pick. So it may recommend one kind of architecture for logging in one file, and then it doesn't remember that, and then it'll go a different way in a different file. I've seen that over and over again. But it's coming a long way, and I think
Yeah.
it's going to be great for accessibility.
I think it's going to be great for accessibility. I think it's going to be great even from the perspective of role playing, right? So one of the big things that Ally, like KM mentioned, it's being able to understand and personalize the responses and to what you ask for. And a very interesting offshoot of these, AI, these models getting really good at coding is that they also get good at reasoning, and reasoning is a very key step in role playing, right? And as these more, so just one advance or these advances that are happening in one area just have this amazing offshoot advantages in other areas, and so it's very exciting space. It just keeps changing every other week, and I'm at this point I'm living more on Twitter than my house, so I'm all the stuff that's going on. I'm very excited for this space. Yeah.
I am too, and I know that you and I could do 2 hour chat on just Cursor and the coding tools and the models alone. But unfortunately, believe it or not, we've already been speaking about a half an hour, which is our time window. So I would like to give both of you a chance to sort of wrap up, provide final thoughts, as well as where people can access Ally or any products, and connect with you as well.
Yes, appreciate that, Joe. Thank you so much. So yeah, I think we're super excited about Ally. It's going to be your conversational, personal, and a ubiquitous your assistant to use everywhere. And we are like launching it up publicly at the site Tech Global. So you can go right away to ally.me. That's ALLY.me, and there will be a links to download Ally for iOS, Android, the web, and the glasses. So you can immediately have access to all these your four platforms of Ally right away. So definitely will encourage all of you to start playing around with. And I think the thing I would close with is that the Ally that you're experiencing, as of like today, this is like the worst this technology is ever going to be, right? And this is like the bottom line. It's only going to improve from here. It's only going to get better. I think in a future, Ally will become the interface that you talk to access the computer, to interact with your internet, to be able to do all sorts of activities online. And I think that's the future that we are super excited about. So this is your I think a time. So install Ally, please like play around with it and offer us as much of feedback as you can. Thank you so much.
And then to reach you personally, like LinkedIn or your socials?
Yeah, so I'm like Karthik Mahadevan on LinkedIn, and I'm Karthik IO on X or like Twitter. So that's the two platforms where you can reach out to me.
Thank you, Kartik. And now Kartik Kannan.
Like KM mentioned, please play around with Ally. Many years ago, my grandma my grandma used to be one of the smartest people that I knew, and I worked very hard to teach her how to use a computer, but she couldn't speak as much English. And I always keep thinking of the moment that we live in right now, where we don't have to learn the language of the computers anymore. The computers are speaking our language. It's Ally today is multilingual. You can speak it in your own language. You can get responses in your own language, and you can pretty much use it to do any task that a computer expert would do, right? And I think that's the beauty of this technology, is just that it allows anybody and everybody to just get things done. And Ally is literally, we named it to represent a real ally, a real friend that you could just use as you go about your day. So I'm really excited for this, and I want you all to try it. And you can reach out to me on Twitter. That's where I spend most of my time, or X. You can reach out to me at me the Karthik. So it's METHEKARTHIK. You can just go, or you can just search for Karthik Kannan and then just find me out there and reach out to me. I would love to hear your thoughts on Ally. And thank you so much, Joe, for doing this. You were the right person to do this panel. We knew it from the moment we thought about this. So thank you so much for doing this as well with us.
Well, thank you both, Kartiks. This was great. I wish we had another hour or two to talk some more. I will say, if anybody wants to reach out to me, I'm also pretty active on X, talking about AI and accessibility, at Joe Devon. And with that, thank you to all of you, and to Corey and Ross. Let me say thank you again, SciTech Global, Vista Center, but I'm going to pass it back to you, Corey and Ross. And that is a wrap. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. So now we just wanted to open it up for questions. Karthik Kannan is actually here in person with me right now. And so please raise your hand if you have a question, and we'll get to you in the order you've raised your hand. Let's see. Tom, I see that you have a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, the first one is just more of a comment to say, wow, I mean, that's fantastic. But second off, it's important for the calories, cooking instructions, and it wasn't able to do that. Was it more of a lighting issue, a glossy surface, how far you're standing away from it, more training of the product?
Yeah. Hi, Tom. Nice to meet you. And I would say it was a mix of a few things, right? So
can you come closer to the? Can you come closer?
Sure. I'm gonna come closer to the mic. Can you hear me okay now?
That's fantastic. Go ahead.
All right, awesome. So what I was saying was with the particular case where Ally was not able to read text on the bottle, there are a couple of factors. The first is, of course, the glasses or the lighting condition was really poor. So this was a typical Dutch winter with warm lighting in my house. So it isn't really conducive for reading stuff with Ally. So it was a little bit lower. The lighting was on the lower side. So that's the reason. And the second thing is that, the glasses camera, because the lighting condition was really poor, wasn't able to pick up the text on the bottle itself. So I guess I would have had a little bit more success if I attempted this with the phone. But nonetheless, I think lighting plays a huge role. And what we're teaching Ally is, the main thing is if you're not able to read something, it's better to actually tell the user that you're not able to read it rather than try to attempt to read it and be over eager and just give you an answer for the sake of giving you an answer, especially when it comes to reading stuff on product labels and things like that, right? So yes, when you do encounter instances where Ally just says I don't know, or I'm not able to actually help you with it, it could most likely be like the lighting condition or the size of the font that you're trying to read. Those are things that if the camera is not able to pick up, you'll have issues with.
Thank you. And a follow-up to that is, I've worked with this on some level for a while, and the lighting is sensitive, a rounded surface, a glossy surface. Is this sensitive to 1 foot away or 2 feet away when you're taking the picture?
Yeah, good question. It's about a feet away, right? So 1 foot away is a pretty and or an arm's distance is the ideal distance to kind of hold any document or any object in that you're trying to like read with the glasses or use Ally with. So at least one hand distance away.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions? I currently don't see any other hands being raised. I have a question. You had talked about, I know that it talked about languages. How many languages does this support?
Yeah. So as of now, Ally supports close to 50 different languages. That's sort of what we have out of the box. So all the major European languages, Indian languages, we're able to support it. On the app specifically, you can, pick about 30 different languages, but then you can also speak dialects of those languages as well to Ally. Yeah, Ally can unofficially understand more languages. I think, but we haven't really experimented or tried it out too much. So I'd say around like about 50 languages overall. Yeah.
Fantastic. And it'll speak to you in different languages, but also read the different languages as well.
Yes, so it'll speak to you in different languages. It'll understand different languages. It will be able to process different languages. So if you were to chat with it or via text and ask it questions in a specific language, it's able to process that, like read text in it, and so on. And it also gives you an output in that language as well. So you're able to like pick a voice that matches the the language that you're wanting to speak to Ally with. And then just go ahead and you get the responses in the right accent, the right voice, and stuff. So we put a lot of attention into voices and those kind of things. So the accent is always correct, the voice is high quality and sounds human-like. So yeah.
I do really like the quality of the voice. That's definitely one of the top of what I've experienced before with assistants. So
Perfect.
Yeah, that's awesome. Does anyone else have any questions? Tom, go ahead. You are muted.
Yeah, again, for another follow-up, for something that I would use is do a lot of airports. And so being guided through an airport, I've used human assistants, and half the time they're not there. And then this last time I used, assistance, human through the phone. For a big, vague thing for me to find a gate and go through TSA, how would you envision your Envision product working with something like that to guide to get to an airplane gate?
Sure. So I think I'm just going to answer this from the perspective of somebody just using the Envision glasses, because that's something that I have seen people do in the wild with the glasses. But this can also apply to Ally on your phone. Just that, yeah, you might want to wear it around your neck or something in order for it to constantly recognize things as you're walking by them, or as you're asking them for questions. So usually what people do is they wear the glasses and they ask Ally specific questions about their surroundings. So for example, you could ask any text-based question to Ally. Hey, can you see where the gate is for where is gate number 5, right? And if Ally notices gate number 5 anywhere in the frame, it's going to be able to answer that for you. Maybe you can move around a little bit and then you can ask ask that question again, and Ally will be able to do that. Ally also really helps you get like very vivid descriptions of your surroundings. So you can go ahead and use it when you just want to orient yourself in the airport or know like what's happening and so on. And lastly, something that is not there as of today but coming very soon to Ally is the ability for you to like ask these questions on just a video feed, on a live video feed. So you can just turn on the video feed and then you can just constantly have a conversation back and forth with Ally. And there's no need for Ally to take discrete pictures and things like that. It just can work based on a video feed, and that's something that's coming very soon to Ally itself. But for now, people just use that in the airports to be able to read text, to get descriptions of things around them so they can orient themselves. Or if you want to check something with Ally, if you've picked up something and you want to know what it is, Ally would be able to answer that question for you. So that's how people currently use Ally in a navigational setting in an airport.
Thank you. That'd be extremely important.
Yeah. Thanks, Tom. Bob, I see your hand up, and then I think we may have time for one more question after that, but go ahead with Bob with your question for now.
Sure. Thank you so much for coming to Vista today and sharing all this with us in person and here on Zoom. I know it takes a lot of effort, and we certainly appreciate all the work that you folks do for us. I had a question on, is it able to recognize handwriting and interpret handwriting?
Yeah. Yes, Ally is able to understand handwriting and interpret handwriting. So you can have you can have, for example, a handwritten note, and Ally can read that out for you. Having said that, we are going to be coming out with a really, really exciting feature. So we're going to be bringing both scan text and import files from the Envision app and the glasses over to Ally as well very, very soon. And that takes the quality of text recognition a notch higher. So yes, Ally can do a great job with text today. You can use it to read handwritten notes. You can use it to read what's written on a whiteboard, for example. Those are instances I have seen Ally do well with. And with the import files, scan text feature that's coming to Ally very soon, that quality would be taken a notch higher for sure. Because we're using a more specialized model for reading text. And we're also throwing in a lot of other things like layout detection and stuff. So you should be able to like scan entire handwritten pages with Ally and then have it faithfully reproduced.
Thank you. And one quick additional question. Is it able to work with you? Like if you're asking it to look at something and it obviously has made a mistake, is there a way of help training it so that it can learn? An example is, I want it to be able to read a tape measure. I pull out a tape measure and tell, how big is this? And
yeah, that's you can do that. So you can teach Ally to be an expert at certain things by adjusting the information about you on Ally. So there is a section called About You in the Preferences section of Ally, where you can add information that you think Ally should know. or should be good at, right? So if you want your tape measure to be read out a certain way, or if you have dietary preferences, or if you are into a particular kind of sport and want Ally to provide some help, or like be a thinking partner for those kind of activities, you can just put that in the About You section in Ally, and you'll be able to do that. Very soon, also Ally would be able to remember things on your behalf. So you could basically like say, hey, I just always remember that I like to be read out things a certain way, or just remember that from now on I'm a vegan, so on and so forth, right? So just being able to like pack Ally with discrete memories is something that's coming very soon also.
This is great. Thank you for this great product.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Tom, go ahead and you'll be the last question.
Was that me, Ryan?
Yes, yeah. I don't see any other hands raised at this time, so we'll go ahead and have yours as the last question.
Okay, great. So where, if at all, is this information stored? Like, for example, let's say I'm doing legal documents and I would want that to be end and done. How's that file or whatever being deleted?
Sure. So the way it works is we don't really look at the data that you send, Ally. So the way we're fully GDPR compliant, which means that let's say you share a piece of document with us, and you've mentioned that you do not want to like share this information with Ally to improve our training purposes, improve the training of the model. At that point, what happens is Ally just processes the document and then just drops it, right? So it doesn't, we don't really use that document for any other purpose. And also what we do is if you do want to like opt into sharing your data just anonymously, again, because GDPR has a lot of regulations around how we process customer data for improving AI models. So anonymously, what we would do is redact all the information from the data and then use it for training and improving the AI itself. And if you want to opt into that, you can go ahead and do that. So you have the control on whether you want to opt in or opt out of sharing data, and that's basically how it works right now. Yeah, and in the future, if there are ways for us to process information like this on device, we'll give you the option to do that as well.
Wonderful.
So would it be easy to opt in and out? Because I would want to opt out for legal documents, but anything else I wouldn't care.
Oh, that's going to be a little tricky. So it's either going to be like a blanket opt-in or a blanket opt-out. But in general, even the documents that are being sent to Envision are like very anonymized, as in like unless you really feel like you don't want to share that information with us. Maybe what you can do is you can always like toggle the opt-in, opt-out, or let us know you'd like to opt out and then opt in again. Yeah, but there's a blanket thing here. That's all.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, final question on that. Would I just say, Ally, please read the document and have a piece of paper in front of me?
Yeah, that's how you do it. Just say, hey, Ally, can you like walk me through this document or read this out to me? Or if you know what the document is about and you're looking for like some very specific information, like you're trying to like read an agenda or trying to read a menu card, then you can go ahead and ask it the question directly, and then Ally will extract that information for you.
Okay. And not sure I heard properly, but to opt in or out, because I would just do it case by case. You're saying maybe not so easy.
Yeah.
Because I would just. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you and fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tom.